It is 8:46 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 25th day of March 2025. Boy, time just marching on. This is episode 1061 of Bitcoin. And later today, I'm going to be recording with Daniel Prince, unless, of course, there's some kind of cancellation or something like that. You never know what happens in these things. But I will be once again on the Once Bitten podcast. Really looking forward to that one. Always love talking to Daniel and his daughter Lauren. This time I should be on for a lot longer than I was last time because I had to cut that one short because my daughter was sick, and amazingly enough, she's sick again. But she's not so bad that I got to take her to the doctor. So it'll be I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know when that podcast will drop after he gets it done, but look forward to me being on the Once Bitten podcast with Daniel Prince. Now, Democrats are having a little issue with Bitcoin and crypto regulation. And then today we're going to talk about World Liberty Financial a little bit more because, they're doing stuff and reaching for things. eToro is in the news. And then Kentucky and Oklahoma, both of their state legislatures are doing some really cool stuff. I'll tell you all about it, as well as Circle is going to launch apparently in Japan. I'm not thrilled about that because Circle is Jeremy Allaire's outfit, and they were and always will be enemies directly of Bitcoin. Hong Kong Asia Holdings has adopted a Bitcoin treasury strategy, as apparently so has Japanese real estate firm Value Creation. So there's that. And then Ditto version 1.3 is out, so we will get into that one. Ditto is a Nostr client, and it's pretty slick, man. It's pretty slick. If I remember right, this is the one that's done by Alex Gleason, who was one of the people that created or co-created co-built, I guess, Trump.social or Truth.social, Trump's his social media platform. But first, the Democrats have proposed more bad Bitcoin and crypto regulations. Frank Corva writing this one for Bitcoin Magazine. On Friday, Maryland Delegate Adrian Balfoe and New York Assemblyman Clyde Vaniel sent a joint letter to Democratic congressional leaders urging them to pass comprehensive crypto legislation at the federal level. In the letter, the elected officials cited New York State as being a leader in crypto regulation and proposed that New York's BitLicense be used as a model for what federal crypto regulation should look like. The letter's authors also noted that New York State has placed a 2-year moratorium on proof-of-work cryptocurrency mining that uses fossil fuels. I'm pausing right here now. For any of you people that don't know what New York State's BitLicense is, it single-handedly caused the major exodus of almost every crypto-related company from the state of New York to states like Texas, Wyoming, anywhere but New York. And they want this installed at the federal level. Yeah, this is really bad Bitcoin and crypto regulation. Continuing, it was upon reading these points in the letter that I realized that Democrats are capable of putting forward Bitcoin and crypto policy ideas stupider than what former Vice President Harris proposed in October of 2024, which was a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets that protects black men who invest in and own these assets. Please note that I am in favor of a regulatory framework that protects the right of black men to invest in crypto assets. I'm also in favor of one that protects the right of Asian men, Hispanic men, white men, and indigenous men to do the same. And I'd like, for whatever Bitcoin and crypto policy we craft here in the United States, to protect the right of women and transgender people of all races to invest in Bitcoin and crypto as well. With that said, let me break down why the United States federal government's creating something comparable to New York's BitLicense and putting a mining moratorium on Bitcoin miners that use any amount of fossil fuels would be a bad idea. And please forgive me in advance for being emotional at points. This issue is personal to me, as I am a resident of New York State and have experienced firsthand the damage that politicians and bureaucrats have done to Bitcoin and crypto industry in the state. The BitLicense. New York State requires that all virtual currency businesses that operate in the state obtain a BitLicense. At face value, obtaining a license to operate a business seems harmless enough, but once you learn that it takes months to years to complete all of the paperwork and jump through all of the hoops required to obtain one, and that it costs upwards of $100,000 to go through this process, you quickly see why so many established companies in the space, never mind the early stage startups, don't even start the process. Because of the BitLicense, New York State residents cannot use reputable platforms like Strike, River, Swan, or Kraken. Nor can they use Lightning or Cash App or the fiat to Bitcoin exchange on Fold. This is only to name a few of the Bitcoin crypto products and services that we cannot use because of red tape. But what's perhaps more of a slap in the face is that when you attempt to use some of these platforms as a New York State resident, you're presented with messages such as, quote, "This exchange doesn't serve residents of jurisdictions including New York State, Iran, Syria, and North Korea." Truly fucking staggering, the company that New York politicians and bureaucrats have put New York residents in. If we were to apply the BitLicense at a federal level, we would deeply stifle innovation and entrepreneurship, as not only would we greatly hinder the Bitcoin and crypto companies that have the money and resources to go through the process of obtaining a federal BitLicense, but we'd create a moat around them while creating a scenario in which the startups that cannot afford to go through the process either close up shop or simply not serve United States citizens. A federal BitLicense would be a major hindrance to President Trump's accomplishing his goals of making the United States the Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. Maybe that's why these Democrats proposed it. The mining moratorium. While I know that burning fossil fuels is detrimental to the environment, and I believe that human-made climate change is a real thing, I'm also a proponent of people being gainfully employed and industries being able to flourish. And in upstate New York, there's been a notable lack of both since factories began closing down in the region after World War II. What's replaced gainful employment in factories in many parts of upstate New York are service sector jobs that barely enable workers to make ends meet. The urban blight in most cities in upstate New York is so palpable, it's nauseating. What we could do to revive upstate New York is invite the Bitcoin mining industry in. Sure, Bitcoin mining companies might burn some fossil fuels to power their operations at first, but as Bitcoin mining incentivizes renewable energy production, they could move away from fossil fuels as their source of energy. Also, if the likes of Assemblyman Vanell and New York State's Governor Kathy Hochul are so against companies that burn fossil fuels, then, number one, why haven't they put a moratorium on all companies in the state that use fossil fuels? And two, why haven't they enacted laws that do things like stopping all New York residents from using cars that have internal combustion engines? I ask these questions rhetorically, as I know I'd never get answers from either of them on this, because the mining moratorium is more for show, virtue signaling, if you will, than anything. If they really wanted to make a concerted effort to stop the environmental damage that burning fossil fuels causes in New York, they do much more than prohibit Bitcoin mining companies that use fossil fuels from operating in the state. And they take down the economy of New York in the process. If we were to apply such a mining moratorium on a federal level, we'd not only put many Americans out of work, but we'd also cede much of the hash rate to hostile foreign powers who are using fossil fuels to mine Bitcoin anyway. Please stop proposing regulations that will hurt an industry that could otherwise provide many Americans with high-quality jobs. please stop listening to the likes of Delegate Balfo, Assemblyman Vanel, or any of the backward-thinking Democrats to which this letter was addressed, including Rep. Maxine Waters and Senator Elizabeth Warren. Instead, start taking cues from the more forward-thinking Democrats like Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Richie Torres, and former Congressman Wiley Nickel, politicians who would like to see Bitcoin and the industry that surrounds it succeed in the United States. I want to make one thing, I want to bring something up that makes something a little bit more clear. Marijuana is illegal at the federal level. Okay? Yet, I live in a state where I can just walk down the street and I can go get a bag of dope. Well, not heroin, but, marijuana. I can at least go get that without any problems whatsoever. Yet it's a federal offense to possess it, purchase it, or sell it. Yet I live in a state that allows me to do all of that. Okay, and there's more. I think even Texas is figuring out that they need to do this shit. If they haven't already, I don't think that they have. But my point is that Colorado, and I don't know, maybe New Mexico, I'm not sure, but there's like a lot of states that have basically told their state citizens, yes, you can do this. It's a federal offense, but we're not going to jack with you in the state. And I kind of think the same thing would happen. I think like if they were to successfully get the bit license as a model through at the federal level, Texas would say, go sit and spin, go pound sand. We don't give a shit. We just don't care. Because there's already precedent for that with the whole marijuana laws at the state level. So even if they were to be able to push this nonsense through, it doesn't faze me one bit. Now, Trump-backed World Liberty Financial confirms the dollar stablecoin plan is a go with BitGo. This is Christian Sandor writing for CoinDesk. World Liberty Financial, the decentralized financial protocol backed by Donald Trump and his family, confirmed on Tuesday its plans to launch a United States dollar-backed stablecoin, pausing to say again, I was right. You're going to see stablecoins fall out of the woodwork like termites who have finished lunch. USD1 is anchored to $1 and will be fully backed by short-term U.S. government securities, U.S. dollar deposits, and other cash equivalents. The reserves will be custodied at BitGo, while BitGo Prime, the firm's brokerage service, will provide liquidity for the token. The stablecoin will be the first available on Ethereum and BNB chain, with plans to expand to other networks, the protocol said. The announcement came after crypto observers brought attention to test transactions with the token named World Liberty Financial USD, also known as USD1, on Ethereum and BNB chain, with BitGo and market maker Wintermute being involved in transfers. Quote, USD1 provides what algorithmic and anonymous crypto projects cannot. Access to the power of DeFi, underpinned by the credibility and safeguards of the most respected names in traditional finance, said Zach Witkoff, WLFI co-founder. Quote, we're offering a digital dollar, stablecoins that sovereign investors and major institutions can confidently integrate into their strategies for seamless, secure, cross-border transactions, end quote. WLFI, a project spearheaded by Zachary Folkman and Chase Hero, made a splash last year as one of the first crypto projects enjoying the backing of Donald Trump. The protocol aims to provide a blockchain-based marketplace where users can borrow and lend cryptocurrencies, create liquidity pools, and transact with stablecoins. So that's the end of the article, and I told you it was coming. Yes, this is just one of a raft of stablecoins that is going to fall out of the assholes of every grifter under the sun. And it doesn't matter if you hate Orange Man or like Orange Man. It really doesn't have all that much to do with Orange Man himself. But it doesn't matter, does it? You got Jeremy Allaire, who's been barking at Tether's heels for the last year. And it's just, it makes me sick when I see what I know is going to happen. I know it's going to happen. You're going to have, who's that dude, that dude that was the child actor as part of crypto? He was like in the Mighty Ducks or something like that, and he's really rich, and he's scammed a bunch of people with Eon or some bullshit shitcoin. Oh, I can almost guarantee you that you will hear about a stable coin coming out of that guy. You will hear stablecoin after stablecoin after stablecoin being created, and they'll all be pegged to the dollar, and they're all going to buy securities, and the United States is going to have a debt bonanza because they're going to be able to print all this money, and it's all going to be exported to other countries, and it's going to be done so through stablecoins. I'm telling you, man, it's going to happen. And eToro may be part of this. We don't know, but the eToro trading platform has publicly filed for a U.S. IPO. Zoltan Vardai, Cointelegraph, cryptocurrency-friendly trading platform eToro has filed for an IPO in the United States following several previous attempts. The company said in a March 24th announcement that it had submitted a registration statement on Form F-1 with the U.S. SEC related to the IPO of its Class A common shares. eToro has applied to list its Class A common shares on the NASDAQ Global Select Market under the ticker symbol ETOR, according to the announcement. Quote, a registration statement on Form F-1 relating to these securities has been filed with the SEC, but has not yet become effective. The public filing comes over 2 months after eToro made confidential filings to the SEC to move forward a potential IPO in New York. Submitted in January, eToro's IPO filing may value the business at more than $5 billion, that's billion with a B, and list the platform as soon as the second quarter of 2025, the report noted. Trading platforms such as eToro are often used by beginning investors looking to buy their first stock shares or cryptocurrency thanks to their ease of use. And eToro's IPO received attention from some of the world's most notable investment banks, including the usual suspects, Goldman Sachs, Jefferies, UBS, and Citigroup as lead managing bookmakers. The crypto-friendly trading platform has had multiple previous attempts to go public, and in 2021, eToro announced plans to go public via a merger with FinTech Acquisition Corp. 5, a special purpose acquisition company valuing the company at $10.4 billion. However, the deal was terminated mid-2022 due to unfavorable market conditions. Although the United Kingdom remains its largest market, eToro is pursuing a U.S. listing to tap into broader investor base. Quote, very few of our global clients would trade UK shares, eToro founder and CEO Yanni Asaya reportedly said this year. He added, quote, something in the United States market creates a pool of both deep liquidity and deep awareness for those assets that are trading in the United States, end quote. In 2023, eToro raised $250 million in a funding round that valued the brokerage at $3.5 billion. The business may now be valued at more than $5 billion in its upcoming IPO. According to Forbes, eToro was one of the first regulated trading platforms in Europe to offer Bitcoin services in 2013, which was just a few years after the first BTC transaction was made in January of 2009. So eToro is definitely on deck. And so is SoapMiner from the Circle P. Hey, man, I just got my SoapMiner soap. He sent me a peppermint tallow, a lavender tallow, a pine tar tallow, and a rustic tallow. He sent me 4 5-ounce bars of his soap. They are beautifully packaged. Their ingredients are few. And that's what's really important to me about SoapMiner soaps. You know, in his rustic tallow, he has 3 ingredients. 100% beef tallow, lye, and distilled water. In pine tar, he's got the exact same ingredients plus pine tar. In lavender tallow, he has the exact same ingredients plus just lavender oil. And it looks like some Brazilian purple clay. And that may just be for, pumice or I don't know, like some kind of like exfoliant. My point is that if you want clean soap, SoapMiner.com. That's SoapMiner.com. It's handmade 100% beef tallow soap. It's beautiful. It smells wonderful. Unless you're talking about the rustic tallow, which has no fragrance at all. It's just pure soap. So you can get tea tree, you can get pine tar, you can get lavender, and you can get peppermint, or you can get just the rustic tallow. Beautiful soap. Make sure that you tell SoapMiner you heard about his soap here at the Circle P on the Bitcoin and podcast. Now, Kentucky has passed Bitcoin and Ethereum self-custody law. Luke Edwards from Decrypt. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear yesterday signed House Bill 701, which offers greater protections for users who self-custody their Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. To self-custody Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency means that a user has full control over the private key needed to authorize any transactions. It's more like having cash in a wallet than using a debit card to authorize your bank to send someone money. Users who prefer that freedom also carry sole responsibility for protecting their holdings. A man in Wales has spent 12 years trying to get permission to excavate a landfill to retrieve a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin worth $696 million at today's price. But if that's the risk users are willing to take, the state of Kentucky wants to protect that right. Crucially, the new law received unanimous support at 91-0 in the House during a vote on February the 28th, and again in the Senate on March 19th, 37-0 before being approved by the governor. I think that it's important to make sure that you understood what I just read. In both the House of Representatives and the Senate, at the state legislature in Kentucky, there wasn't a single person who voted against self-custody of Bitcoin. Not a single senator, not a single rep voted against the right to hold your own keys. Fascinating. This new law will guarantee the rights of individuals to hold and manage cryptocurrencies in their self-hosted wallets. This should mean those in Kentucky can gain total control over their cryptocurrency without any issues of interference. As such, this means local governments will not be able to enact discriminatory laws that unfairly target crypto mining. The law also clarifies that neither mining nor staking rewards are classified as securities, and operating blockchain nodes and staking will be exempt from Kentucky's money transmitter regulations. Kentucky is also reviewing House Bill 376, which proposes the creation of a crypto reserve for the state. This would allow investments of up to 10% of excess state reserves into digital assets with a market cap of $750 billion, and that pretty much means Bitcoin. This new Kentucky law comes as a growing number of states are moving towards a greater embrace of cryptocurrency. Fully 1/3 of states are currently exploring crypto for public funds, with 19 states in ongoing legislative considerations. Notably, Utah passed a bill on January the 28th that will authorize the state treasurer to allocate 5% of certain public funds to qualifying digital assets. This is as long as they meet the main requirement of having over $500 billion in market capitalization averaged over the past 12 months. New Mexico is another example of Bitcoin support, with Senator Anthony Thornton introducing the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act on February the 4th, proposing a 5% allocation of public funds to Bitcoin. At time of publishing, there are 16 states actively being tracked by the Bitcoin Reserve Monitor. It's worth noting that while there is interest here, most are capped at 10%, and there are still the majority of states that are not looking into crypto at this stage. And some states like Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania all took themselves out behind the woodshed and committed suicide. because they decided to just reject any and all efforts to get Bitcoin into their state reserves or allow any kind of usage about it whatsoever. So, which is really odd. I would imagine North Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana, those guys, I would have figured that they would know better. Pennsylvania, they're a little bit more on the, kind of on the eastern side, so I kind of get that they probably wouldn't, but it's bizarre that Wyoming especially shot down all hope of being able to get Bitcoin into their reserves. But on to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the House has approved a Bitcoin reserve bill with, yet again, overwhelming majority. This is Atlas21.com, written by somebody called Newsroom. On March the 24th, the Oklahoma House of Representatives passed the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act, House Bill 1203, with a resounding majority of 77 votes in favor of and only 15 votes against. State Representative Cody Maynard introduced 1203 January the 15th, aiming to establish Bitcoin as a strategic reserve for the state. The bill had already passed the Government Oversight Committee on February the 25th with a 12-2 vote before advancing to the full House vote. During the proposal's introduction, Maynard stated, quote, "Bitcoin represents freedom from bureaucrats who erode our purchasing power with currency printing. As a decentralized form of money, Bitcoin cannot be manipulated or created by government entities. It is the ultimate store of value for those who believe in the principles of financial freedom and monetary soundness," end quote. The bill would allow the state treasurer to invest up to 10% of public funds in Bitcoin and other digital assets that have maintained a market capitalization of over $500 billion in the past year, and currently only Bitcoin meets that criterion. Investments could be made using funds from the state's general fund, the Revenue Stabilization Fund, and the Constitutional Reserve Fund. The state treasurer would have several options for asset custody. 1, direct custody by the treasurer themselves. 2, use of secure custody solutions managed by qualified custodians. And 3, investment in exchange-traded funds tracking Bitcoin. With the House approval, House Bill 1203 now moves to the Oklahoma Senate for review and final voting. If passed and signed by the governor, the bill will come into effect on November 1st, 2025. Oklahoma is part of a growing movement of states considering Bitcoin investments. On March the 24th in Arizona, the House Rules Committee approved 2 bills related to digital asset reserves. Bills SB 1373 and SB 1025 are now headed for a full House vote. The Texas Senate has also approved a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill, though it still needs to pass the House and receive the governor's signature to become law. So, wow, Oklahoma and who the hell was it? Oh, God, I just said their name. Oh, God. Kentucky. Yes, thank you, Kentucky. Moving on, man. Moving on. And speaking of, so will we. Let's run the numbers. Futures and commodities. I got oil. West Texas Intermediate was up early this morning, but now is down almost a half point to $68.80 a barrel. Brent North Sea down a third to $72.78. Natural gas also down over a point to $3.87 per thousand cubic feet, and gasoline is down 0.13% to $2.20 a gallon. Metals are all in the green today. Gold is up a third of a point to $3,026.90. Silver is up 2.3%. Platinum up 1.5%. Copper up 2.2%, and palladium is up almost a full percentage point. Ag is mostly in the red today. Biggest winner is coffee, 1.5% to the upside. Biggest loser looks to be rough rice, 1.6% to the downside. Live cattle is down 1.13%. Lean hogs, however, in the green, 1.25%. Feeder cattle are down 1.33%. The Dow is crab walking sideways, 0.1% down. S&P is crab walking in the green, however. NASDAQ is the only thing doing anything, functional. It is 0.3% to the upside. And, the S&P mini is a quarter point to the downside. Bitcoin's kind of bouncing around the $88,000 mark. Currently, we are at $87,850. That is a $1.74 trillion market cap. And today we can get 29 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,841,644.69 of, and fees remain low at 0.04 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis on average. And it looks like there are about 23, 24 blocks carrying 12,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at really cheap rates. High priorities and low priorities are 2 Satoshis per VByte. Hash rate is increased again from yesterday, 841.4 exahashes per second. So it does not look like there's any minor capitulation today. From Why Buy Bitcoin, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin, and I got Jay with 5,000 sats. Jay says, I loved your breakdown of those 5 reasons, and I agree entirely with your points for why most benefits of Bitcoin often fail to convince anyone to buy it. I recently finished The Creature from Jekyll Island, and your point about the Federal Reserve and money creation reminded me of Griffin's reasons for abolishing the Federal Reserve. Number 1, it is incapable of accomplishing its stated objectives. Number 2, it is a cartel operating against public interest. Number 3, it is the supreme instrument of usury. Number 4, it generates our most unfair tax, and that would be inflation. 5, it encourages war. 6, it destabilizes the economy. 7, it is an instrument of totalitarianism. And I find it fascinating that Bitcoin is its foil in all of these points. Dude, I hear that, brother. Permanerd with 234 sats says, NunyaBidness, get someone into a lather like SoapMiner soap. Again, if you want some good soap, go to SoapMiner.com. That's SoapMiner.com. Psyduck with 570 says, Psyduck. Psyduck with another 570 says, Yodel, or Yodel. Pies with 420 says, thank you, sir. Hashtag 40HPW. And I believe that's it. Nope. Yodel with 300 sats says, great ways. And Justin with 100 sats says, I use their soap and it's legit, 100%. And he's talking about SoapMiner soap. That's SoapMiner soap at SoapMiner.com. Go to SoapMiner.com to get your soap. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news you can use, where Circle is going to launch USDC stablecoin in Japan through SBI Venture Capital Trade. Other local exchanges to follow. Timmy Shin from The Block writing this one. Circle will officially launch USDC in Japan on Wednesday on SBI VC Trade, a crypto exchange under financial conglomerate SBI Group, as the stablecoin issuer seeks to expand in the country. Circle announced on Tuesday that USDC will first be listed March 26 through Circle Japan KK on the SBI VC Trade Exchange. It also plans to launch USDC on other local exchanges, including Binance Japan, BitBank, and Bitflyer. The upcoming USDC listing comes after SBI VC Trade gained regulatory approval to process USDC transactions earlier this month. Meanwhile, Circle disclosed that it has formed a joint venture with SBI Holdings after it signed an agreement with SBI in 2023 aimed at a comprehensive business alliance. Quote, Circle becomes the first and only stablecoin to be approved for use in Japanese markets, Jeremy Allaire, scumbag and co-founder of CEO of Circle, said in a post on Twitter. Quote, we have spent 2 years lying to people. Engaging with Japan's regulators, major industry players, strategic partners, banking partners, and others to enable USDC for the Japanese market, which unlocks tremendous opportunities, not just in trading digital assets, but more broadly in payments, cross-border finance and commerce, FX, and more. Japan revised its stablecoin-related regulation in June of 2023 that required service providers to complete registration under the Funds Settlement Act and the Banking Act to operate the circulation of stablecoins, according to a previous SBI statement. So, scumbag Jeremy Allaire is going head-to-head with Tether hardcore, and somehow or another he's captured the Japanese market before Tether could get there. Honestly, this is kind of concerning, because Jeremy Allaire does not have the Bitcoin ethos. Whereas Paolo Ardoino and his crew, they actually do. Yes, I know, Tether is a stablecoin. But if you're going to ask me my opinion, now you don't really have to ask me my opinion, I'm just going to give it to you. If I had the choice between anything that is the flavor of a stablecoin, I would choose Tether. They were the first, they've been the best, and they came out of actual Bitcoin ethics. Now, whether or not that hangs around for very long, I don't know. But I can guarantee you where Jeremy Allaire's coming from, you don't want to have anything to do with it. It really makes me sick to my stomach seeing Jeremy Allaire enter the Asian market, or at least the Japanese market, before Tether did. So Tether's got some work to do. Now on to Hong Kong, where HK Asia Holdings becomes first in China to adopt a Bitcoin treasury. And maybe HK doesn't stand for Hong Kong. I probably made that as a mistake. But nevertheless, this is written by Nick Ward, Bitcoin Magazine. HK Asia Holdings, soon to be renamed Moon Incorporated, has made history as the first publicly traded company in Greater China to adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy. In a recent discussion hosted by Alan Hilm of Bitcoin for Corporations, new CEO John Riggins outlined the company's pivot, its regulatory alignment with Hong Kong, and the broader momentum building across Asia. Riggins, a longtime Bitcoin advocate with extensive experience across China and Southeast Asia, explained the move was driven by both long-term conviction and a favorable shift in regulatory posture in Hong Kong. Okay, so we are in Hong Kong. He said that the company had spent months consulting with regulators and public market investors and local partners before executing the transition. Originally focused on SIM or SIM cards and prepaid tech products, HK Asia Holdings now aims to integrate Bitcoin both as a balance sheet asset and into its business model. This includes plans to roll out Bitcoin-related offerings through its retail footprint, such as ATMs and prepaid Bitcoin products. The company's first steps include the acquisition of 8.88 BTC, so not very much, during a post-acquisition period, followed by another 10 Bitcoin purchase once the leadership transition was finalized, bringing its total holdings to 18.88 BTC, valued at $1.7 million at the time of the announcement. Riggins said further accumulation is planned, though it will proceed in accordance with Hong Kong's measured but transparent regulatory guidance. Quote, "We see it as a way to protect our balance sheet, and we see it as a way to diversify our treasury with an eye on how the rest of the world is moving," said Riggins. The strategic intent goes far beyond speculation. Riggins framed Bitcoin as a hedge against a macro uncertainty, a tool for long-term resilience, and a bridge to emerging global financial infrastructure. He also emphasized how corporate boards in the region are beginning to engage more seriously with the idea, pointing to Metaplanet in Japan and strategy in the United States as compelling precedents. While Asia's corporate Bitcoin adoption is still in early stages, interest is growing pretty fast. Riggins highlighted South Korea, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia as markets with clear potential to follow suit. Much of the movement, he noted, is happening quietly behind the scenes, especially in China, where institutional stakeholders and state-connected investors are actively monitoring United States policy shifts and corporate adoption trends. Quote, "I'm flooded with messages more and more from people in government, people, institutional investors who are kind of watching this space closely, looking for inside information about what's happening here," said Riggins. Although no formal public moves have been announced by Chinese state entities, Riggins believes Bitcoin is already being held indirectly through government-affiliated organizations, including state-connected investment arms. He suggested these holdings may be more significant than publicly known. With the U.S. moving towards a strategic Bitcoin reserve itself, he sees China closely watching and potentially following if global policy momentum continues to shift. Looking ahead, Moon Incorporated plans to expand its Bitcoin holdings within Hong Kong's regulatory framework and serve as a model for other Asian companies exploring similar strategies. The company will co-host Bitcoin Asia this August in Hong Kong, positioning itself as a regional trailblazer and helping catalyze broader corporate adoption across Asia. So there you go there. Now, let's go and talk about something in Japan, where the Japanese real estate firm Value Creation is investing in Bitcoin themselves. And this is written by Alex Larry from Bitcoin News. Japan's interest in Bitcoin is growing, and Value Creation, a real estate company listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, just purchased 8 Bitcoin. The company paid around 100 million yen or $670,000 US to buy the digital currency at an average price of $83,110 per coin. This is a big change in how traditional Japanese companies view Bitcoin, treating it as a financial asset. The Value Creation Board of Directors approved the Bitcoin purchase on March the 12th. The acquisition was completed March 17th. The company, which focuses on real estate and digital transformation, previously had reservations about investing in digital assets, but after reevaluating the potential of Bitcoin, Value Creation decided to go for it. Quote, "Crypto assets are now appearing worldwide as digital currencies," the company said. Further, quote, "It is now clear that Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It's establishing value, and it will continue to grow despite short-term fluctuations," end quote. After the announcement, Value Creation's stock price jumped 67% to over 1,600 yen before correcting to 1,397 yen, showing investors confidence in the company's financial future. Value Creation is not alone in its Bitcoin investment strategy. Other Japanese companies are also buying in. Metaplanet, you know them, but you've also got something called SBC Medical Group. That's a healthcare service provider, and it plans to buy 1 billion yen worth of Bitcoin to hedge against inflation and diversify its assets. And by the way, 1 billion is about $6.7 million US. Then we've got Remix Point, a former digital asset exchange operator. They've invested $3.2 million US in Bitcoin earlier this year. And then Gumi Incorporated, which I've talked about before, a mobile game studio, bought 1 billion yen worth of Bitcoin in February of 2025. Japanese companies are following the global trend of corporations and institutions diversifying their financial assets with Bitcoin. One of the main reasons companies are buying Bitcoin is because it's being seen as digital gold. With traditional currencies facing inflation and economic uncertainty, businesses are seeing Bitcoin as a hedge against financial instability. A Value Creation representative cited major financial institutions like BlackRock as proof that Bitcoin is now a real asset. Quote, "Institutional support is growing," the representative said. "Bitcoin is not just speculation. It is a financial instrument," end quote. And Japan has been a pioneer in Bitcoin adoption. It was one of the first countries to legalize Bitcoin as a form of payment, and its regulatory environment has fostered responsible growth in the industry. With more Japanese companies buying Bitcoin, Japan is becoming a key player in the global Bitcoin space. So there you go. I mean, Kentucky and Texas and Oklahoma and Hong Kong and Japan, and they're all buying Bitcoin. And then I saw on Nostr last night, or actually it wasn't even Nostr. I was looking at TradingView, and I saw a headline in the sidebar that said that a whale had bought $200 million worth of Bitcoin. And I looked over at the chart, and we had lost like 1.3% off the price, like immediately. I'm like, how do you buy $200 million worth of Bitcoin and the price actually decreases? I still think there's chicanery going on in the background. I think people that hold a whole bunch of Bitcoin are being asked and or tasked to trade where Bitcoin remains in this crab walk sideways so that people can fill their bags. That's what I think is happening. Just a little commentary on the side. Now, Ditto version 1.3, Explore tab, search filters UI, and more. If you did not know, Ditto is a nostr server, not a client. They're saying server, even though it looks like a client to me. I'll get into it. It builds resilient online communities. It allows users to create their own social networks that are decentralized and customizable while being free from ads and tracking. Ditto version 1.3 is now available, and it comes with improved search and event fetching via a new Explore tab, video enhancements, translation upgrades, basic custom emoji support, improved translations, and key administrative tools, and more. Quote, Ditto 1.3 is all about discovery. From improved search and event fetching to a brand new Explore tab, this release makes it easier than ever to find people, posts, and conversations across the Nostr network. We've also rolled out streaks, media improvements, translation upgrades, and key admin tools. I do not know what a streak is. Maybe that's like a thread. I'm not sure, but if somebody knows, please reach out and tell me. Upcoming updates for this project include support for cashew nut zaps, user wallet configuration panel, a zap splits for post with an intuitive UI. Ditto instance administrators will receive a brand new dashboard with npub management tools, improved stats, and more customization options such as global language filters, improved admin notifications, UI for managing suggested accounts, and paid nip05s via Cashew. Quote, we're also revamping the onboarding flow to help new users get connected faster. Community-specific prompts, default relay suggestions, wallet setup, and a local timeline for users without follows will make getting started smoother. Plus, a new follow all option makes it easier to connect with your community from day one. Thank you to our awesome team and to OpenSats for their continued support, the project said in a blog post. You can check out the instance or a live instance of the client here, and the link is included. So let's talk about what's new here, the Explore tab and search filter UI. The new Explore tab offers a streamlined interface for browsing trending content and discovering new accounts. It features an improved account search UI, making it easier to connect with relevant individuals even across remote relays. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to Ditto, and I am at ditto.pub. That's ditto.pub, P-U-B, and I have my NunyaBidness npub and nsec loaded into this thing, and I use an extension. I use getalby as my extension to handle my nostr keys, and Ditto understands that and allows me to use GitHub or getalby in order to manage my keys. So I'm actually logged in here, and I'm going over to the Explore tab, and it looks, this Ditto it has a very lightweight client feel. It's very fast. It's very responsive. It does not have a whole lot of lights, whistles, and bells. But if I go to the Explore tab, the first thing I see is that I've got filters. And I can look, because Alex Gleason, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that did this one, he made bridges to and from Nostr from Blue Sky as well as the Fediverse. And if you don't know what the Fediverse is, just think Mastodon. It's one of the clients that reads the Fediverse. And Fediverse is a protocol, it's the name of a thing that is built around a protocol. And the protocol is different than Nostr, but it's basically a protocol. And we're able to look at Ditto and get directly all my notes from Nostr, but also the bridges from both Blue Sky and the Fediverse. So there's a lot of content that's flowing through this thing. So it's nice to have filters where I can turn those off. I don't have to look at Blue Sky. And down here, I can, like right now, I'm looking at my note or my Explore tab, and I've got feeds coming in from Nostr, and I've got feeds coming in from Blue Sky, and I don't have feeds coming in from Fediverse. So if I go down to this place where it says create your filter, it gives me a place where I can enter in a filter word. I'm going to type in Fediverse and then enter, and then Fediverse is there. And now I can just see what the hell's going on in Fediverse. But I can also put in just like permaculture. And that way I can filter everything but notes that say permaculture. So if I really want to go look at permaculture, and it's like looking for a hashtag. I mean, it's not anything different. It's just that it's very lightweight. It's very responsive. It's, Ditto is offering these things that we're kind of used to. So it's worth exploring. Now let's get back to the other stuff. Profile and event fetching improvements. Ditto introduces enhancements in profile and event fetching, allowing for smarter searches and providing richer context. It incorporates a new Outbox-style REQ router and supports looking up remote identifiers, resulting in faster access to more relevant results from a wider range of relays. And then there's media improvements. Videos now transcode correctly, ensuring better playback, while media is displayed more reliably. Link previews appear clearer and cleaner, and raw URLs are hidden in posts for more polished and readable feeds. Here's streaks. Now, I don't know, hopefully they'll explain this to me. Streaks. Ditto now features streak tracking, motivating users to remain engaged and contribute daily. Okay. Users will receive friendly alerts when they begin a new streak, helping them track their progress and maintain consistent activity. Ooh. So this means this is sort of like the addictive feature. This is the gamification. It's maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I'm going to try to remain a little bit neutral, but my gut feeling is that this is maybe a little bit addictive. And I don't like addiction when it comes to these kinds of things. I'm just saying that out loud. Let's see. Improved translations, custom emoji support, and the Ditto Mono Repo Refactor. Apparently, the platform has undergone a significant refactoring of the code into a mono repo structure and has been upgraded to Dino v2.1.10. And these changes establish a foundation for faster development and improved overall performance. And clearly, there's also bug fixes. So what I'm looking at when I go to Ditto, this ditto.pub, what I'm looking at is a live instance. And apparently, I can run Ditto all by my lonesome, but I haven't looked that far into it or why I might want to. So, and I also haven't played around with streaking or anything like that. It'll be interesting to see how that actually works. But Ditto is pretty responsive. So I'm really impressed with it. Alex Gleason has always done a really good job on all the stuff that he's done. This is no different. So go to ditto, ditto.pub. That's ditto.pub. Again, that's ditto.pub. And if you don't, now here's the thing. Beware. When I first used Ditto, in one of its earlier incantations, I think, and I cannot prove, but I think that it might have wiped out my follows list. So all the people that I follow from my npub got wiped out all the way across the board. Thankfully, there's a tool that restores that, and it is called nostr restore. In fact, let me go back. I want to make damn sure that I get you this, because a lot of people ask me about this. And I want to go to nostr restore. Where'd it go? I freaking just had my thing. No, there's nostr restore. Okay. hist.nostr.land. HIST for like history. .nostr.land. You can sign in with an extension, and it basically gives you back your follows list. So it kind of keeps track of your npub and everybody's npub. It looks to me like it does it in the background, so you don't have to set it. I just sign in, and it allows me to get back to like my last known state with, like my follower count with the last time that it actually took a census of who I was following. And it might not put every single one back, but it will put most back. And the reason I'm even telling you about that is that the first time I did Ditto is it wiped my follows list, as I said. And thankfully, because of his.nostr, whatever, the nostr.restore or whatever it was that I just gave you, I was able to get all that back. So if you don't want to mess with that, then go to ditto.pub and just create a new npub and just look around. That way, you're not going to lose anything. It's cheap. It's easy. It's nostr. You don't have to buy, you don't have to give credit card information or emails or nothing. You just say, I want a new npub, and it will spin one up for you, and you can just play around. And if something bad happens, well, it doesn't really matter. It's a throwaway npub key. So there you go. That's it for the show. And again, I will be on Once Bitten podcast with Daniel Prince and his daughter Lauren. Looking forward to it, and I'll see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.